Hello everyone, Mark here, and today I thought I'd do a little follow-up review on my Yuneec Breeze 4K drone. Now I've had this drone for around 4 months now, so I thought I'd do a proper follow-up review just to give you my final thoughts and opinions on this drone and let you know how it's actually been holding up and performing. So let's quickly get it out. Now even the case for the drone is a nice super solid case. It really does do a good job of protecting the drone, keeping everything in there, and it's nice and compact as well. Okay, so let's open up the Breeze cam. So the drone itself, like I say, I've had it 4 months. I've done roughly around 27 flights, and although that might not seem like a huge amount of flights, that's mainly down to the good old British weather, and also because I've got more than one drone. When you've got more than one drone, you tend to alternate between drones just so you can get fun out of all of your drones rather than just one. But in those 27 flights that I've had with this quadcopter or this drone, it's just performed outstandingly well. It's never let me down. It's never had any faults, any issues. It's quick, simple to set up, and you just set it up and then you're off flying. There's no messing around. There is a few little bits on there that could be improved, and I'll talk a little bit about that, but all in all, super impressed with this drone, and I do highly recommend it. Even down to the actual app itself, very easy to use, and it does exactly what you want an app to actually do. Now the drone itself is a super solid build. There's no flimsiness on there whatsoever. The brushless motors are very powerful, and the actual quadcopter or drone is very stable in high winds. I've took it out in 25-mile-an-hour winds. Not that I recommend you do that too often, but it handled it like a champ. It really did just fly well. The video quality was still good. Very impressed. I've done an unboxing and first impression video, so go check that out. And I've actually put up the video where I was flying this in 25-mile-an-hour winds anyway, so go check that out as well. Now the video quality on this drone is very nice. It films up to 4K, unstabilized, or 1080p stabilized, and stabilization is done electronically. It doesn't have like a 2 or 3 axis gimbal, but the electronic stabilizing system in this quadcopter is very nice and does a really good job. It's clear image. The 1080p on here is much clearer and sharper than any of like the Hubsan drones that I've found, to be honest. The 1080p on here compared to the 1080p on my Hubsan drone, this is easily superior. The optical flow and IR sensor on the bottom works superbly. I've never had any issues with that. And it holds its GPS signal extremely well. When I'm hovering, it stays on the spot and does not move at all. Very impressive. And like I was saying, the actual app itself is very easy to use, and we'll go a little bit more into that in detail in a minute. I've also, obviously, I've got the controller and the FPV goggles. The controller, it works really well. I wasn't too keen to begin with because obviously it looks a bit like a game controller, and even the buttons are not really marked, so you have to remember what buttons do what, or just press the R2 button and then all of your controls will appear on your phone screen telling you exactly what button does what. But once you've flown it through times, you actually get used to knowing what every single button is. But using the controller really does help with precision flying. It does make a bit more of a difference, even though the app on this drone, the app for the Yuneec Breeze, is the best phone app I've ever used. It really does control the drone smoothly, unlike a lot of other phone apps that I've tried. And even the FPV goggles, they work really well. Flying this drone FPV is great fun, so I do highly recommend it. I ain't gonna lie, it is a great drone. Now the actual phone app itself, quickly If I start screen recording, actually, hopefully this will work. My screen recorder is not it's not great, I must admit. It's not the best, but basically you've got your tasks here, and then you've got your pilot mode, your selfie mode, your orbit mode, your journey, your follow me, and then your controller, so you use your controller and FPV and stuff like that. It's a very simple but effective interface, and as you can see here, you have all of your videos that you've stored onto the drone itself. It has a built-in 16GB memory, and I actually like that. I like the fact that I ain't got to mess around with an SD card. I like the fact that everything is stored onto the actual drone itself, and then you just open up the app, get the images off of the app, transfer them directly to your phone, and then it's done. It's no messing around. So you would just obviously download it. I've downloaded this already, and then you just play it as normal, and then obviously you would see your footage. And as you can see from, hopefully from this footage, look how smooth and stable that is for a drone without a active manual gimbal. It's super steady footage, very impressed with that, and it's clear footage as well, no pixel. It just looks really nice. So let's exit out of that, and you can also edit the videos in the app and share them as well via YouTube and even Instagram. When you take pictures and stuff like that, it all goes to your phone, so you can share it wherever you like. You've got your drone settings, so you can basically change the name, the mode, the distance of the takeoff height, the return to home distance, your speed, everything like that. Now, speed on this drone, this is one of the things, it's not a con because it's just my personal preference. The max speed is 5 meters per second, which works out to be around 10 mile an hour. So it's not a super fast drone. But it is more of a video drone, and 10 mile an hour is not slow, but when you're, say, 80 meters in the air, 10 mile an hour, obviously it does seem slower than it is, but that's just the drone itself. It's not really a bad thing about it, it's just what it is. Now you can film in Ultra HD 4K at 30 frames per second, 1080p at 30 frames per second, and 720p at 60 frames per second. And obviously the 1080p and the 60 frames per second is digitally stabilized. You can have your photo settings to medium or ultra high quality, and then you can obviously have your scene mode to natural, saturation, raw, and nighttime. And then when you're actually flying the drone itself, if you go into your camera settings, it's going to give you more camera settings as well, so you can change like the auto white balance and stuff like that, change it to your certain environments, whether it's cloudy, sunny and stuff like that. Like I say, the app is just super easy to use. Very impressed with that. So let's quickly go over some of the things that I don't particularly like about the drone, but it's just my personal opinion. It's not really negative as such. Like I say, it's not a super fast flying drone. 10 mile an hour is not quick. It's by no means slow, but it's not very quick. So if you want a drone for just speed flying, this ain't the drone for you. Also, the max range limit on this is 100 meters in distance, and then obviously 80 meters in altitude. Now, the 100 meter distance in range is limitation of the actual geofence in the app itself. The drone is more capable than traveling that distance, and there's a little hack. If you were to fly out, say 90 meters or 100 meters, hit your geofence, if you land the drone, you can then fly it for another 100 meters. It just relocates the home point and just extends it, so you can fly it more than 100 meters. You've just got to land it in between that. So that's just a little hack. It's not what you're meant to do, but just to show that the drone is more than capable of flying further than 100 meters with signal quality and stuff like that. it can do it, but the limitation on the drone is 100 meters distance, and then obviously 80 meters in altitude. And to be fair, 80 meters altitude is high enough. The brushless motors very powerful, and the drone is not that loud. It's not what I call quiet. It's probably about as loud as the Spark, to be honest. And although it doesn't have obviously a manual gimbal, the electronic stabilization on this quadcopter is really good. But we're talking a little bit about the downsides, and there is one downside to this. As you can see there, you've got a little gap. Now dust can get underneath that gap, and probably, I think it was like the second or third time that I actually flew this drone, I didn't land on an adequate sized helipad, landing pad, so I had to land on the grass, and a little bit of grass went in between there and is actually stuck there on my lens, which is not an issue. Obviously it doesn't cover up the lens or anything like that. It doesn't affect the optical flow sensor because it's not directly on the lens, but yeah, it was a bit of a pain. You can remove this whole panel, and then obviously I could just polish it, but I didn't really want to remove it because it's not really causing any issue, and it's only a tiny little bit of grass anyway, and like I say, it's not causing any issue. And I didn't want to remove the actual body and then snap any of the clips because that's just not good, is it? So I thought, until I have to do it, I won't bother removing the body. But guys, that's it. I've got nothing really bad to say about this drone. It's just performed really well from the day I've got it, on every single flight. Now when it comes to like the follow me function, I've had a few times where the drone wouldn't follow me properly, but that was down to the GPS on my phone. To use the follow me function where the drone actually follows you, so the active track function, it tracks the GPS on your phone. So if your phone doesn't have adequate GPS, it's going to struggle to follow you. Visually it will follow you perfectly, but movement wise, unless you've got good GPS on your phone, it's going to struggle to follow you. Even the drone charger itself, it's super high quality. You're going to get around 11-minute flight time from the battery, and they state 11-minute flight time as well. But the battery charger will charge it up in around 40 minutes, which is really good, and it's a decent quality charger. It actually balances the battery as it's charging, so it is a good quality solid charger. Like I say guys, I am very impressed with this drone. It really does tick all of the boxes for me, apart from the max speed and the maximum flight distance. Apart from that, can't fault it. It's just a lovely drone. So that's it for me guys. Like I say, I just wanted to give you a quick follow-up on this quadcopter, just to tell you my thoughts and opinions. And like I say, it is a great quadcopter, or great drone. If you want something that's simple, effective, a very smooth and steady, stable flyer, highly recommend the Yuneec Breeze 4K. So go check out my other videos on this drone. I've done unboxing, I've done extreme flight tests, as well as obviously some flight footage and stuff like that. I'm also going to be getting a few more drones guys, like the DJI Spark, the Parrot Bebop 2, maybe even the Anafi. So stay tuned. Happy RCing everyone. Take care. Bye bye.